All right, what up, y'all? Welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be checking out the movie Body Cam, which stars Miss Mary J. Blige and Mr. Nat Wolff. And if you don't know, Mary J. Blige is actually a pretty famous R&B singer. She has had roles in movies and TV throughout her career. However, this was her first time carrying an entire movie, and it's a horror movie at that. So I was really surprised because I have seen her in a bunch of stuff. So to see her in this and her acting not be anywhere near what it's been, even in guest starring roles on shows, I was pretty surprised. So I'm excited to go over this one with you all. Again, it's a horror movie, but I did have a few laughs on it. So let's go ahead and get at this one. All right, so from the beginning, we pretty much get what this movie is going to be about. It starts off with this this cop named Gannon. He goes into this diner. You can tell he frequents it a lot, but they're being pretty rude to him because what's going on? There's this newscast that's playing where it's basically talking about some cops that got off for killing someone, and the diner that this guy goes into is full of minorities. Even though he himself is a minority, but you know, he's a cop. So the guy's pretty rude to him while he's in there.
To plant misleading evidence at the scene, including a weapon. All across
It has
the
to
city.
suck being a cop because not all cops are bad. I'm not going to sit here and say that. And I hate people who act that way, especially like in that situation. He didn't need to be rude to him. So after this, he's driving, he pulls over this green van. There's someone inside. They're not really responding to his knocks on the window. So he's like peering inside with his flashlight, and he sees like this bloody cloth or something, and basically orders the woman out of the car. She ends up getting out, and he's asking her questions. She's not really responding, just kind of standing there. And something weird happens. He gets like jerked into the sky or something, or she pushes him. We're not exactly sure what at this point. We just know, hey, something's happened. So right after this, we meet Mary J. Blige's character. She plays Officer Renee Lomito Smith. Mary J. Blige, MJB. And within a few seconds, we learn she obviously had a kid. Her and her husband are kind of looking at stuff, really sad like. And then it kind of cuts to this overlay audio of her with, I don't know if it's a therapist. I'm not sure what this person is called, but he's basically, like, hey.
Renee, you struck a civilian. The administration and the public saw your body cam footage, Renee. They saw how you handled that. Have you moved on from your son's death?
Does anyone ever, especially a son, I don't think you can move on from that. I feel like a more appropriate question, like, how are you working through your son's death? Since she's just like, look, I need to work. That's the only way I'm going to get back to where I need to be. So he's like, all right, I'm going to put you on night shift. But anyway, so she gets back to work and she's partnered with Nat Wolff's character. His name is Danny Hollage. And you may know Nat Wolff from the Netflix adaptation of the movie Death Note, which was pretty bad. But I'll have to say Nat Wolff was, compared to Mary J. Blige, who he's partnered with in this, he gives a really stellar performance.
Can I go?
Yeah.
So while the two are out patrolling, what are the first things that they come across? There's this little kid playing in the street all by himself, right? No one's there. It's the middle of the night. Mary J. Blige and Nat come over. They're like trying to see if the kid's all right. And then out of nowhere, like everybody in the entire neighborhood is outside. Like, what were y'all all doing that no one cared that this kid was outside playing by himself? But as soon as two cops show up who are just trying to make sure he's okay, everyone comes out all hostile and they just kind of go away. And I'm guessing it's because of the tension in the air, but really the mother should have been arrested or given a ticket or something for having a child this young outside at night by himself. So they go back to their cruiser and they get a call like this call goes over the radio that there's an officer not responding, and it turns out to be Gannon, the guy from the beginning. So those two go in, check it out. And so when they get there, his car's all messed up and everything, and so they're looking for him. Mary J. Blige gets in the car and she's looking at the footage of what it is that happened. And so it shows a little of what we saw, but it also shows something else where the car moves and then Gannon is dropped from the sky and he's like covered in blood and stuff. And this is what starts my annoyance with Mary J. Blige in this movie, is that she doesn't like respond. She has this like scowl on her face, just kind of just looking. But she doesn't even jump. She doesn't like, oh my God, what's going on? Like nothing. She like, you would think that after seeing something like that, she'd have a little more pep in her step, but she doesn't. Nothing. You just saw nothing. And so they end up finding him impaled on this fence. And Nat Wolff is very disgusted by it. His character throws up. His name's, I should call him Danny, I guess. Danny throws up. And Mary J. Blige again has the exact same look on her face. Like pretty much from the beginning of this movie, she's had this exact same look on her face. And I think we're like 5-10 minutes in. Is this all the emotion? The other kid threw up. Look at him. She's nothing. Is this normal for you? And the only time she has a slight change is when she first meets Danny. She's talking with her crew and everything. But other than that, I'm telling you, she's going to have this one look on her face throughout this entire movie. All right. Her captain and everybody comes, they kind of get on her because she touched the dash cam. However, they didn't see it because she's like, y'all need to look out for a green van and, this woman about this height. And they're like, where did you see this? Because there's no dash cam footage and there's also no body cam footage either. So she's just,
Footage doesn't exist, Renee. IT said that the car got fried when Gannon's car got hit.
I saw that footage, sir.
And so after this, it's like later in the evening, her and Danny are kind of, just talking, I guess, getting to know each other since they're new partners. And, we kind of learn her reasoning why she got suspended a bit more in depth. I think her reasoning is a bit BS.
Just being disrespectful. Mm-hmm.
What was he saying?
He said some shit like, you black bitch. And I blacked out. Lost it.
You're a cop. Like, very few times are you going to be interacting with people and it's going to be, they're going to be all, happy and jolly to see you. And I'm not saying that the guy should have talked to her the way that she described, but as a cop, you need to be able to keep your cool a bit more. Like, again, she must have been stopping someone. Anyway, that's my take on it. It's like, as a cop, you have to be the calmer person in the situation. And she wasn't. We also learned that her kid passed away from drowning. And even talking about her kid drowning, she's just... Even talking about her son, nothing. Her face has not changed. So from here, she goes home and she's talking to her husband. She talks about Gannon and, that he died. And she has to be the one to look into this. Why? I don't know. It seems like there's probably a dozen other cops who's probably looking into this. I'm kind of with him on why she has to be the one to do it, especially since she just got back. But she says this line and I'm 99.9999 1,000% sure she forgot her line because she's like trying to say, because he's like asking her, why do you have to do it? And she's trying to say he was like a brother to me. But she has this long pause where she's like, this man
was like my brother.
I can't tell. I cannot tell. Not by your reaction.
I felt so helpless with Christopher. I still feel helpless. I gotta do something.
Later that night, she's having this dream about her son, and then it morphs into the footage from the dash cam that she sees the lady, and she sees like this. It basically looks like a white cross, like a hand drawn cross on her pants leg, and so I guess she wakes up. Well, she does wake up, and she's going and she's looking at pictures of her kid. And it's unclear on if she was just looking at pictures of her kid or no. Like, was she up just looking at pictures, or was she going through those pictures because she thought she saw that before? She's at the hospital. Well, she's on the internet page of the hospital scrolling through, and she sees the woman who she believes is from her image. And her name is Tanisha Brandt, and she's played by Anika Noni Rose. I think I pronounced that right. Yeah, Anika Noni Rose. And you may know her. Her most famous role is in Dreamgirls. All right, so the next night, again, Renee and Nat are, in her patrol car, and she's over the radio asking for an address on Tanisha Brandt's. And so they get it and they go there. And when they hop out, Danny, he wants to turn on the body cam. And Renee is like, no, this is, my business. We're not going to turn it on right now. And so they go into the house and we get more of Mary J. Blige just kind of going through the motions. She didn't even react to the smell. Oh my goodness. You can tell, even though he was horrible in that Death Note movie, or maybe just the movie was horrible, he is definitely a better actor than Mary J. Blige. He knows to react to things. She's like one of those she seems like she's one of those actors you just tell them to, all right, walk through here, and they're just going to walk through there. They're not going to add some realness to it. They don't really find too much of note in the apartment itself. We do see, and it is confirmed, that Tanisha's son is dead. Like, there's pictures of him hanging, and Danny has a slight reaction, which, I mean, from the beginning you kind of suspect that something kind of went on with her son and her, just because, again, the beginning starts with cops getting off for killing someone. So they kind of go through the house. They don't really find anything else. Mary J. Blige's character is trying to leave at one point, and like the door that she's trying to leave out is stuck, and she's kind of being haunted by, there's some mysterious figure. It's like a big, dark, shadowy, like it looks like a really big dude. And as it gets closer to her, it's just kind of like a shadow, and then it dissipates. And I don't get the effect was really bad in this part. I don't get why. You have Mary J. Blige in this movie. It's a BET movie, so I know y'all got some money. I feel like they could have had better effects than they actually did. So after they leave the house, it cuts over to Tanisha going into this convenience store, and there's these two dudes who are standing outside. So she goes inside, and the two guys follow her in, and they're being jerks. There's an Asian guy who goes and is like asking the cashier about a charger. The black guy is like, has his phone out and is just destroying stuff for no reason at all. While they're in there being idiots, two other cops roll by, and they see the van. They're like, yo, let's go check it out. So they do, and basically they go inside. They believe that the two guys are the ones who are driving the van, even though the Asian guy's like, that's not our van. So the cops pull their guns out, and chaos pretty much ensues. The black guy shoots the female cop, and she ends up dying. And then, a supernatural being comes out and basically kills everyone. All right, so Renee and Danny show up, and right off the bat, Danny is giving a Oscar-worthy performance compared to Mary J. Blige.
Officer down. Officer down. Shit. She's dead.
And she's just going through all slow, just do. Like, I mean, like the Asian guy grabs her leg at one point, and she doesn't even really jump. She, looks down, and his face is like all half gone, and still there's no response from her. So Mary J. Blige goes into the back. The security footage mysteriously plays for her, so she's able to see, kind of some of what happens. Like, she sees that the woman is there, Tanisha, but it pretty much cuts off. There's like some shooting, but she doesn't see fully what happened. So when, again, the detective and her sergeant comes, but there's no footage. So she can't even really tell them what it is that she saw, because they're not going to believe her again, because there's no footage for them to go off of. And and while she was in there, I still don't know why she did this, she takes the phone off of the black guy. So she tells Danny that she took the phone, and he's all upset, saying like, hey, you're kind of taking this too far, you shouldn't be doing this, this, that, and the other. And they kind of get into it.
I think you're a mother who lost her kid and you become obsessed with some woman who lost hers. Okay, just leave it alone.
All right, so after this, Renee goes to the morgue where she sweet talks Really, the Moore guy does all the talking here.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Are you wanting to see them? Can't do it. It's not protocol. I'll get in trouble. You can give me those brown eyes all you want, but I'm telling you, I just can't do it.
She ain't done she ain't done nothing. But basically she goes back to the bodies and uses the thumbprint of the guy to unlock the phone, where she sees the video that he took while they were, being idiots in the store. Oh, and then so while she's doing that, it just cuts, like, after she's watching the video, it then cuts to her at home watching a video of her kid on her phone. Like, they have random moments like this where they're trying to show you that, hey, her kid dying, had an impact on her, which, of course it would. It's her fucking kid. But I feel like they just have these moments where they're trying to emphasize that, but it comes off very awkward because there's nothing that really leads up to it. It just kind of is. It just kind of happens. And so next it jumps over to the funeral of the two cops who are, I guess, maybe the wake, or that thing where people just kind of hang around and eat and talk and all that. And so it cuts there, and she's talking to another cop friend. It's this bald white dude, and she's asking him, like, hey, do you know anything about DeMarco Brandt? DeMarco is the name of Tanisha's kid. She's like, do y'all guys know anything about this? He's like, oh yeah, it's just some gang thing. And just the way that he says it, like, gang thing, really, you just know that something's up. Not only that, Danny is drunk, because when they first went to drink, Danny got like a ginger ale or like a club soda or something non-alcoholic when they went out. But here, this dude has a bottle in his hand. He's kind of falling over a bit. He's slurring his words, and he's talking to Renee, and he's just like, yo, I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for any of this. And to her credit, she is kind of like, yo, what are you talking about? Maybe you need to lay off the alcohol. Because I'm like, yeah, for sure. Something's like, this right here is where you really just kind of understand that something's going on. He knows more than he's saying. All right. Something is really weighing on his conscience. And this is the first time where you really, I guess, really just kind of see that going on. After this, it cuts to her and Danny again, in the car talking. He's like all concerned for her because people are, saying that she's, following her own leads. She's, not doing what she's supposed to be, which is weird because she's really the only one he's told stuff to and done stuff with. So I'm thinking, if people are saying this to him, what is he saying to other people? The very next scene that it cuts to is her walking into this church, or her getting the address for her church that Tanisha visited. All right, so Janice gets this address. She goes to this church and she's talking to, the pastor there about Tanisha and DeMarco. And that's where we find out that DeMarco was actually deaf. So once you learn that, you can kind of maybe see what led to what, right? And so when she's talking to the pastor, he also gives her this address where he thinks Tanisha may be. And so Mary J. Blige, of course, goes there on her own for some reason. It's still unclear, like, are you on duty or not? Because you're still in like a cop car and your cop uniform, but Danny isn't with you. So what are you doing, right? So she goes there. She doesn't find Tanisha, but she finds this, I guess, box of papers. It's basically, she finds her kill list. It's pictures of the cops. The ones that are already dead have red X's in their eyes. Very unoriginal, I would say. There's so many things where people, have pictures and have the eyes crossed out. So yeah, so she calls Danny afterwards to be like, hey, I found this stuff. We need to, discuss it. Danny's like, okay, meet me in an hour. So Renee shows up, and when she goes into the house, Danny's dead. He's, kind of himself. And she still don't have no reaction. And he's left her a note. All it says is sorry, which I'm just like, bro, if you're going to do that, like, write me a love letter or something. Come on. And he left a USB there, and the USB, so she goes and looks at it, and basically it has the footage from the body cam footage from when DeMarco died. And so basically what happens is he's walking, it's raining, they're walking down an alley. They got a call about something. I forget why exactly they're there, but it's raining. He's walking away from them. They're asking him to stop. He does not respond. So what do? They shoot him. Falls to the ground. They go over to him. They see it's just a kid. And they don't even care. Like, he's a kid. He's crying. He's bleeding. Like, his teeth are on the ground. And they're just searching. Like, it's the bald guy, the black guy who died earlier. And they're searching. And of course, they don't find any gun or anything. So they're like, oh my God, what's going on? So they start huddling. Danny is the only one who's actually concerned. He wants to, get help for the kid, but the other cops are basically ignoring him. And finally, the bald white cop is like, look, Danny, can we trust you? Can we trust you? You want a career, don't you? And Danny's like, yeah, I want a career. Of course I do. And so basically what happens, the white cop, the white bald guy ends up suffocating Danny with a plastic bag. It's really hard to watch. They kind of blur it out, which I was kind of happy for. But so that's what's on the USB. I think it's interesting though in this movie that it's a black policewoman. So they're at the same time, commentating on what it is like to be a police officer, how dangerous it is, because you can't say that being a police officer isn't dangerous. But also on, just the other aspects of it, dirty cops, the whole racial thing. So they're trying to do a lot with one movie here. Renee then calls her sergeant. She's like, hey, I got this body cam footage, so-and-so. She names the cop, the bald white guy. She names him, it's like, yo, I got to talk to you about this. It's some pretty messed up stuff. I don't feel like that's something you should say like in a voicemail, especially when there's obviously some dirty cop stuff going on. Need to go get that stuff to internal affairs. None of this makes sense. Why she's going there, why she's having him meet her there. This just screams shadiness is about to go down. What'd I say? I knew it. And look at her. That's it. That's all she does. That's it. Just a little eyebrow raise. Your captain's turned on you. Eyebrow. See, that's why you always take it in. She takes him into the warehouse. They want the footage. The bald white guy shoots Renee, because that's going to motivate her to give them the footage. Tanisha shows up. She's like, do you remember my son? Do you remember DeMarco? And the guy's all kind of like, no, I don't. Anyway, so the sergeant pistol whips Tanisha, knocks her out. And then the entity, which, we figure is DeMarco at this point, he does something to the sergeant, pulls him into the darkness. The white cop is now being stalked by the entity. Renee gets up. She's fine now. She's helping Tanisha up, who, again, she only got hit in the face, but she seems like she's the one who got shot, the way they're walking out and everything. And so she takes him out. The entity pretty much kills the white cop. Oh, and she still has no reaction. Come on, how do you see all that? And then Tanisha and Renee go out. There's ambulance and everybody around waiting for them for some reason. I don't know how. No one was ever called, but hey, there they are. And they're both kind of sitting there. Tanisha's on a stretcher, and they see both of their sons off in the distance, kind of, showing that, hey, they're at rest now. Even though I don't know why Mary J. Blige's son wasn't at rest. He definitely should have been at rest. And then her sergeant survived somehow. I don't know how this dude survived, but he did. And he's the one who gets tried for everything and gets sentenced. And yeah, so that's body cam. Oh, snap, a little smile maybe. Oh, so the story for body cam wasn't bad. I don't think that the whole police brutality thing was super in your face. It's just the acting was bad. Like, that's the only thing that I could say was actually terrible in this movie. Like, her acting at times just took you out because she just did not react. Mary J. Blige, she just did not react to things. And then there are times where Danny reacted to things, and you're just like, when they went into the room and there was like a smell, she didn't react to the smell or anything. I'm just like, come on. I watched this a couple times, and I really like Danny's character. Probably about the second time around, I kind of realized he represented that person who becomes a cop because, they just really, want to do good, want to serve their community. But unfortunately, he was paired with some bad people who happen to be cops. First it started with the little boy. He really wanted, to get the kid help, and they pretty much, I don't want to say talked him out of it, but definitely used their seniority to keep him in line. And then, he gets with Mary J. Blige's character. She's running around checking her own lead. She's not turning on body cams when they went to check out Tanisha's house. Then after the whole gas station thing, she took evidence, and, he definitely wasn't cool with it. So it just really sucks that he ended up taking his own life when all he wanted to do was the right thing. But hey, if you enjoyed my review reaction of this movie, please like the video and definitely subscribe so you can see my upcoming ones. And just so that this does, help out the channel and get recommended, I do appreciate it. So wherever you are, day or night, I hope you have a good evening, and I will see you on the next one. Peace out.